Everybody, I'm Suzanne, and if you came to watch a painting tutorial, then you came to the right place. And in today's video, I'm going to be painting camellias. Now, it's one of the few flowers that I have in my yard that's actually blooming right now. And I have a white variety and a pink variety, and they're beautiful. Now, mine are looking a little ragged because, you know, we've had some rain and but they've got lots of new blooms on them. And it's one of I look forward to them because I'm a spring and summer girl, not a winter fall girl. So it's giving me hope to see flowers blooming close to winter. So in today's video, let's go ahead and paint some camellias. And if you are my subscribers, of course, as always, I thank you so much. And if you're not my subscribers, please consider subscribing. And this video will be also available on my Patreon channel. So if you like today's video and you want to see the full-time, crazy lengthy me painting, calling out all the colors and all that good stuff with all the information packed full of good stuff, then check out my Patreon channel. So let's go ahead and jump into the camellia. All right, so here is our palette. Now I have my colors kind of grouped kind of weird, but believe it or not, it probably will make sense well, it makes sense to me anyway. So I have several batches of color. Of course, I have titanium white, and I have it down twice. I have lemon yellow. I have, oh goodness, what is this one? This is warm white. This is cool white. I have a little bit of cadmium yellow, yellow ochre, burnt umber, burnt sienna. This is ice blue by Richardson. Of course, titanium white, again the same color that was here. That is actually I lied to you, this is not warm white, this is porcelain, and so is this by that's a Sinaye color. I have ultramarine blue, I have ivory black, I have hooker's green, I have phthalo green, I have sap green, I have Payne's gray, and raw umber. So I'm going to be doing basically a study in whites. So there's going to be, except for the leaves of the camellia, which obviously you can see I kind of have my leaf colors in some areas, I have background colors in other areas, and the actual flowers. And that's how I've kind of divided out my palette. This will be the most intense aspect, or the darkest value of the whole piece. So everything else is going to be very soft grays of these different colors here. So let's see what we can get into. The substrate we're working on is a gessoed panel. It's got a medium texture. It's not quite as smooth as some of the gesso panels that I work on, but it's great. It'll be wonderful for this piece. Here you can see the actual reference and our palette. So our brush lineup, I'm just kind of feeling out my brushes here. I'm going to show you. I'm just going to use, I've got a number 2 long filbert. It's an Eclipse brush. I've got this small number 2 ivory filbert. I have this little flat. This is an evergreen flat. It's a number 2. I have this beautiful, beautiful 3/8 rosemary Shiraz dagger. That's going to come in handy when you need the little points in the leaves and stuff. This is the number 12 long flat series 279. It's a natural hairbrush, great for smoothing areas out, keeping it nice and soft. I've got the Eclipse long filbert number 5 and the pointed round number 4. This is a Shiraz series. So I have these brushes. Very likely we'll switch it up a little bit. Now, I want to say something. When I'm normally talking about when I do my sketches, I use vine charcoal a lot. Well, today I did it in graphite, mainly because I did not want the gray of the actual charcoal to mix with my paints. Normally that's not a problem, but because I'm working with whites, basically, all these white colors, I did not want to muddy it up. So that is why this is actually in graphite as opposed to the charcoal that I normally do. All right, so we're gonna mix some colors here in a minute. I'm gonna take a little palette knife and I'm gonna mix a series of whites. Now, what does that mean? Actually, it's going to be more like a series of grays. I am going to look at this flower and I'm going to look at the colors that I see. And the trick with painting white flowers, I'm going to turn my light off for just a second so you can actually see. I do have the sketch. I think we're having a little bit more real color here. It's a rainy day here in Kingsport today, so the light is a bit overcast, but it's fine. It's fine for painting. So I'm going to make some different grays. Now I have my cool colors on this side, and the raw umber is going to be really used well. So I'm going to take a little bit of the yellow ochre, a little bit of the raw umber, and mix that together. And that's probably going to be a really nice dark value. As I'm thinking, I may end up wanting some of my, you've heard me using it before, the Italian green umber may also be a nice color here. Sorry about the wiggles here. Okay, so even with that, I'm going to take some of the titanium white and mix some other values of this color. So I'm just lightening up this value. Might mix a little bit more yellow into it. Okay, this is crazy how this is moving it around. I'd be better off with that not attached to the actual board. It's my camera. Sorry, folks. Let me change this up, because otherwise you're going to get seasick. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Okay, let's see if this wiggles a little less. So I've mixed this color. I'm mixing, just wanting to mix an array of whites. I want some warm whites, and I'm going to try to mix some, and I like the yellow ochre in it. It's still wiggling. Sorry about that, guys. I'm going to move this over so you can see a little bit better. All right, I'm going to have to devise a new system because this is too wiggly. We'll do the best we can. Once I get painting, it might not be quite as wiggly. That might be too... A little bit of the lemon yellow in that. Yeah, that's nice too. So I'm just really moving through and just making some different whites. Just different colors that I see. Now I have the cool blue up here, and I think the cool blue and the titanium will look nice together too. I see almost like a, for lack of a better word, it's kind of a peachy color. I'm just going to try a little bit of the So I just took a little bit of cad yellow and a little bit of burnt sienna in with this titanium white, making this color here. Now I do have the Payne's Gray that I'll probably be using a little bit too in the edges of some of the flowers. Let me just mix. Obviously I'm going to go right through all this. Titanium white. That makes for a very cool color. Oops, we don't want to get any green in it. A little bit more of our titanium white, because even just doing this, we're mixing it, blending it away. Just mixing it. Now I do need to go with an interesting, I want my gray in the background to be kind of cool. And so that's why I put down the Richardson Ice Blue is a kind of a neat color like that. It looks like just a gray, but tends to be a very cool gray. And it's a great color when you're doing sky, especially like on a day like today, which is very cool and rainy. Actually, for December, it's really warm here right now. Feels wonderful. All right, that's going to be a good background color. So again, I am going to go around the areas of my sketch. I want to keep some of my colors really soft. I mean, my edges soft, and I want some of my edges crisp as well. So if I'm wanting the soft edges, I will be a little looser with my blend in the background, so that when I pop these leaves in, some of the leaves are going to be a little farther away from us, and some are right in our face. So when they're further away, I do want them to be softer. So I'm going to be very mindful about my application. I start with the leaves up at the top. Since the leaves are the darkest part of this piece, I feel like I need to really get those in. Now I'm working with a flat brush, something you almost never see me do. This is a Shiraz little flat, and it's doing just fine. I'm enjoying the brush itself. Now, again, I'm just popping in where the leaves are going and basically blocking it in. And I realize I need to go ahead and take that gray that I mixed, and it's a very cool blue gray, and put that in there, because those leaves that I just did are going to be, some of them are going to be very soft because they're kind of behind the actual flower arrangement. So I want them to be soft. So I'm just blocking in and being very careful not to pick up any of that that phthalo green mixture that I have, and because I don't want to dirty up my gray that I have here. And I like that. This is a good gray. And I'm just testing and putting a little bit more ultramarine blue in it because I thought it was a little too flat for me. And using a natural hair brush that's a little softer and letting me just kind of blend it out. I'm not wanting it to be very impasto or thick. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in some more leaves, and right here what I'm doing is softening those edges, and I'm using a little sable red dot. It's a synthetic sable, and I'm just kind of softening the edges on those little leaves in the background. As I start laying in the flower, the camellia itself, I am trying to create form and shape. The darker colors that I'm using a lot of yellow ochre, and I'm mixing that with a little bit of umber. I'm using a raw umber and some Payne's gray. And so this is really a study in whites and grays. That's why I chose to do the white camellia as opposed to the pink. So you can see I'm mixing up the paint in the back, and it's mainly yellow ochre and raw umber, and that is the dark side of the camellia here. And you know, I'm actually using the little cutting tool, or the paint eraser, if you will, to make sure that I keep my shapes correct. And I keep popping around, going back and forth between the flowers and the leaves, and really just enjoying the process. So here I'm brightening it up and warming it up in some of these areas of the flower. Now I have to do the interior bud before, because it's not completely opened up flowers. And again, you can see I'm using the yellow ochre cadmium yellow mixture, and where needed, I'm taking that darker mixture that I mixed with the yellow ochre and raw umber and Payne's gray to even deepen it a little bit more. As I move through, I'm being very conscious of temperature changes in the leaves and where the shadows lie. It's almost abstract for me putting these leaves down because they don't necessarily look like anything that I recognize. It's really because their leaves are so grouped up. So I'm trying to make sure that I have some of the negative space of the background in behind it, and yeah, just kind of laying in everything and looking at where the temperature is changing. So when I need to use a warmer green, I'm using the sap green mixed with a little bit of the yellow, the cad yellow, and possibly even mixing some white into it. And when I'm using, needing a cooler green, I'm using the phthalo green or the hooker's green with a little bit of ivory black. So yeah, and I'm putting in this other little flower over here. It's so much fun. This is actually a neat, interesting study for me to get my head around because I'm trying to work as alla prima as possible. This piece was completed in approximately, I would say 4 hours was the duration of this piece. A lot of stopping and starting, starting back up with all the people coming into the studio today. But I was just glad to be able to get it done, and really I love a challenge like that. Now I have the upper part of the background is this nice cool gray, and but I'm wanting the bottom color or the surface in which the vase is supported on to be a warmer version, but not really that far off on value. So you'll see here in a bit when I mix that color, it's going to be pretty close in value to the upper part, the upper background. So I'm mixing the sennelier color, the parchment color, with a little bit of white and a little bit of yellow ochre and a little bit of raw umber. And I'm coming up with a very similar color in value, but obviously a warmer temperature. And I'm just going to pop that in there too. And I'm trying to keep my lines pretty straight, but I want them a little bit blended. So you'll see, I'll slowly get those in there and get it all blended. And I'm very interested in this vase. The vase is fun because it again seems somewhat abstract to me. So I'm getting in the stems of the actual flowers, and then just working on the shape of glass. Knowing how the color is reflected inside the glass is really, really fascinating to me. So yeah, this is actually fun. This may be the funnest part of the painting for me, is just doing this little vase. And there's more stems to do. So I'm actually taking the yellow ochre and a little bit of burnt sienna and mixing in a little bit of the white and creating the stems of these flowers that are here in the water. So, you know, I like how they're a little bit warmer, and I'm being very conscious of where the dark side of the stems are. So you got to put in the shadows and all that good stuff. But, you know, guys, this is really fun. It's a little bit different type of painting for me, but truly fun. Now, of course, I'm trying to channel my inner John Singer Sargent and trying to go impasto with some of the highlights in the on the vase. And what I should have done is just take it, you know, keep trying to load the paint to make the shine, but it still was blending a little bit. But I finally get it. But trying just to get the shine and the look of glass is fun for me. This was really nice. And it's all about subtlety. You know, watching your values and your temperatures. I'm just getting in the last little bit of detail here and making sure that if the flower is overlapping the leaf, then I'm putting it, making it a little darker underneath the flower petals, and putting light where it needs to go and scratching in detail. Of course, these leaves are somewhat serrated, so I'm having to get in there and really kind of try to get the serration in and look at where the highlights are and all this good stuff, but it's all coming together and I'm actually feeling pretty good about it. And know, folks, that this piece will be on my Patreon channel with all the full narration of the colors and as I go along what exactly is happening at any given point in the piece. So yes, please check out my Patreon channel. And know that if you have any questions whatsoever, please leave it in the comment section. I'll get to it. And yeah, this has been a really fun piece. But yeah, I'm pretty much wrapping it up now. And you can see my palette over here where I'm bringing in lighter values and warmer temperatures and sharpening up some areas and softening up others. It's all just kind of a dance, and I'm going back and forth. But I'm about to wrap it up, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. Know that you can actually do some of your details by scraping off paint when you're doing an alla prima piece like this. And so every now and then you'll see me just flip my brush over, and I'm using the unbristled end of my brush to scratch out some of the detail. It may not be as obvious in time lapse, but you'll see when it's happening here every now and then. But you can also try a paint scraper as well. They work great too. But yeah, just about to wrap it up, and yeah, if you have any questions, again, don't forget, I will answer them for you. Just leave them in the comment section. Lights off just so you can see it better, because it seems to have too much glare on it. Maybe this isn't the best light. It's dark outside, obviously, so it's kind of hard to see. Let's turn it back on. Okay, maybe you can see this better, but anyway, you know, it was a fun piece to do. You know, alla prima, you know, I wasn't taking the benefit of having the painting dry out. But you can see here's the palette. It's pretty, you can see there's a lot of paint that's really, I used very little. I have a lot of the green. So I'll be using that in the next piece, guaranteed. I'm not gonna waste that much paint. But anyway, here we go. The camellias in a little glass vase. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and let me know if there's anything you wanna see coming up, and if you have any questions about this video. Now, I did this alla prima. This was all done in the course of a day. And of course, my day is generally one that has people in and out of the studio. I'll have students, well, today I had a haircut. So yeah, there's lots of stopping and starting with any of my paintings, but I got this one done today. This is on an 8x10 gessoed panel, and so it was slick enough for me to be able to use my little cutting tool and cut in some detail where I needed it, and that makes it really fun. And no, if you don't have a cutting tool and you are working on a slick surface, sometimes you can flip that paintbrush of yours over and use the sharp pointed end and just drag it across. But that's not good on canvas necessarily. It has to be a pretty slick, smooth surface. So, but yes, paint scrapers are amazing tools, and so are paintbrushes, even if you use the end. So yeah, you can try that. And I hope you liked today's video. If you have any questions whatsoever, please leave in the comment section. I always leave information about the paintbrushes that I use also in the comments section, including links if you're interested. And yeah, so there you have it. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you are my subscribers, thanks. If you're not, subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you. Bye.